If you asked me if I want to retire just 3 years ago, I would have said that's crazy. However, after being fired from my seemingly stable job in tech in 2021, I turned to FIRE to regain my sanity and also care for my mental health. Hi, I'm Cherry, ex-auditor, ex-corporate finance worker, ex-woman in tech, and current 26-year-old retiree. I retired early at 25 years old with around $1.5 million in California and specifically Los Angeles. This video was very much inspired by the video created by CNBC and Make It with Beat the Bush, aka Francis. It was titled How I Retired Early at 37 Years Old with $1.2 million in California. We actually made a video together a couple years ago, and here is footage of it. So since CNBC Make It did such a good job with the video, I'm going to try to follow the structure and cover all the key points highlighted in that video. And CNBC Make It, if you're seeing this, please know that I am super down to record a session with you guys, to make an episode with you guys. So let's talk about achieving FIRE, how I was able to do it at a relatively young age at 25 years old. If you know me in person, you'd probably describe me as someone who's willing to go to the extremes in order to make things happen, someone who's extremely motivated and borderline crazy. For example, I tried living in my car as a single female in LA to save money. I also had 17 income streams before I retired from corporate, including my super demanding job in corporate. And as you know, in my past life, I worked in finance, which is quite demanding. So this is what my schedule looked like back then. I would work around 80-hour work weeks at my corporate job, and I would spend around 25 hours every single week working on my so-called side hustles. That includes YouTube, that includes my online course, that includes coaching. And so 100-hour work weeks were pretty normal to me. Getting home at 9 p.m., working on my side hustles until 2 a.m., and then getting up at 7 a.m. to hit the gym and then go to my corporate job, that was kind of my routine. I also usually work on the weekends. So yes, I really did not have much of a life, especially not a social life. And that's probably what also led to my eventual burnout in 2020, which led me to taking a couple months off of my corporate job to, have my medical leave, and then also getting fired in 2021. So the first aspect to how I was able to achieve FIRE was probably my grind and hustle schedule and crazy work ethics. Number two is building multiple income streams that align with my investor personality and my monetizable identity. And yes, these two concepts are ones that I developed, so you probably can't Google them. And if you can, someone copied me. So your monetizable identity is basically looking at the things that you're already good at, that people ask you about, that you can spend so much time doing without even breaking a sweat or feeling like you're working, and being able to make money from that. That, in short, is your monetizable identity. And your investor personality is being able to really understand yourself, understand your goals, your personality, your habits, and then finding an investment strategy that works with it. I see so many people dive into day trading, but they're like lazy people like me. And they're like, how do I day trade and wake up early in the morning if that's not something I want to do? So that's why it's so important to really understand your investor personality and plan your investments around it, because personal finance is called personal finance for a reason. It has to be personalized to you. And the third aspect is creating passive income streams. How? You can convert your active income streams into passive income streams, or you can take the money you earn from your active income streams and use it to fund your passive income streams. In my opinion, there are only three ways that you can create passive income streams with. You can either have a really valuable skill, which you have to, put in the hours and maybe in the investments in order to gain the skill, or you can have a network, which as a middle person, you can use your network to make passive income. Or third, you have to have capital, which you can then use the money you earn from your active income to fund your passive income streams. So my personal passive income streams include dividend income, rent income, passive income from my evergreen course sale, YouTube ad revenue, interest income, and staking my cryptocurrency. The fourth aspect is investing in assets. So full disclosure, around $600,000 within my $1.5 million, that is in capital appreciation, and that is in stocks and real estate. I put this one last because I really feel like most people, when they talk about their numbers, it's super misleading. They're talking about how, you can earn so much money from the stock market, from investing in real estate, but they never talk about how do you even get the money to invest in stocks and real estate to begin with. That's why I put this last, because I think it's more important to talk about how do you get that initial capital before even talking about capital appreciation, because without, let's say, $800K, $200K putting into stock market or real estate, your 600K capital appreciation, that ain't gonna happen. It doesn't work like that. And now let's talk about me growing up and my upbringing. So growing up, I was born in Hong Kong and then I moved to Shanghai for a couple of years. I moved to Vancouver in a couple of years and I moved here for college and, stay here in LA ever since. And growing up, I've always been told that saving is the only way to accumulate wealth. So saving is number one. And we also used to have cookie boxes like these that never really had cookies in. So whenever I go to, my grandparents' house, I would see a cookie box like this and I get super excited because this is my favorite cookie, but there's nothing inside, just thread and needles and sometimes receipts. So that's kind of, my upbringing. Another aspect of it is we used to use newspaper as our tablecloth. So every single dinner, we'll just like spread out the newspaper and then eat from the newspaper. And sometimes I'd be like, is it poisonous? Is it toxic to have ink with your food, like so close to your food and sometimes, on your food? And I was also pretty much brainwashed into thinking that we're broke AF and we're on the verge of being homeless. And so definitely a lot of scarcity mindset, a lot of fear around money. And I was also pretty much threatened that if I don't pursue accounting, I'd end up being a starving artist and being, again, homeless. At the same time, I was also told to not focus on money and that money is superficial, money shallow, don't be too materialistic. So it's pretty much contradicting because on one hand, I can see that money is super important, but on the other, I was told that, caring too much about money is evil, is bad, is negative. And I developed my own thoughts about money, given all that. I saw how my parents were able to use money as a way to have a say in my life. Like I would tell them that I want to pursue, let's say, dance classes or art classes, and they'd say no. And I ask them why. And they'd be like, it's because we pay for everything here. Okay, I can't do my parents' voice, but you get the gist of it, which is I always felt like my parents had a say in my life because they paid for everything. And so in my head, I planted that seed in my head, which is when I make my own money, when I'm able to be financially independent from my parents, I can then make my own decisions. And another aspect to my upbringing is that I moved around a lot. I never felt like grounded. I never felt like, my roots were somewhere. And so it's really important for me to be able to have a home, which is why I obsess over buying a home. And I eventually decided to pay off my home instead of using that money to, leverage that money and put it into other investments. Because to me, it is equally important to consider the psychology of money, how money makes you feel instead of just chasing after, the highest return, the highest gains. And now let's talk about the day in my life. So my days kind of are divided into two different categories. So one category is the chill category, another category is the travel category. And I think this also has to do with my human design, which if you're into it, I'm a 2-4 manifesting generator, which means I am multi-passionate, full of energy, but 2-4 also means I am a hermit opportunist, which means I will have, very like introvert closed off days, hermit days, and also, trying to seek out opportunities out there days. And so for my chill days, I usually wake up at noon. I don't really set an alarm unless I have, doctor's appointments or anything like that. And I like to spend some time reading, playing the piano, going to Kundalini yoga, playing with my cats. I have 2 cats, Cotton and Candy. I also like to take courses, and I also like to coach my clients and also get coached. I also have my own coaches because I really believe in self-education and online education and always, bettering yourself and surrounding yourself with people who know more than you and can help you get to that next level. Sometimes I also film content like what I'm doing right now. For my travel days, I usually have a really packed schedule because, again, with my human design, I'm an opportunist and I always want to make the most out of all my, traveling. And so usually you'll see me waking up really early, heading to places, and sometimes I'd go to conferences too. I just went to my first ever conference a couple days ago in Vegas with Think Media. So that was, pretty exciting, but also very, very hectic. I had to wake up at like 6 a.m. in the morning, which is definitely very different from my chill schedule. So that is kind of like my 2 types of days. And for traveling, I've been to New York, I've been to Hawaii multiple times, I've been to NorCal, so like traveling a lot. And I also have a Europe trip coming up, which I'm going to Greece, I'm going to EOS, I am going to Paris, I'm going to London, I'm going to Stockholm, so many different cool places that I've never been. So that is upcoming. And now let's talk about financial freedom and what are my thoughts. First of all, in my opinion, early retirement gave me my sanity back. I cannot imagine having to go back to work after being betrayed by corporate like that, because I literally dedicated my whole self into corporate, and I didn't just do my job. I was also the lead of certain organizations on the campus, at work. And so I just felt super betrayed. And another aspect of it is also when I got fired, till now, no one from my job actually reached out to me and asked me, "Are you okay?" Like everyone just kind of forgot about me, which also really broke my heart. So, being betrayed by corporate like that, I cannot imagine going back to corporate, going to another job, getting another job, and pretending that I care about that next job. Like that is just too harsh to my mental health. So, early retirement definitely gave me my mental health, gave me my sanity back, and also, allowed me to care for my mental health. And if you want to reach financial freedom, my advice would be to focus on the passive income aspect instead of the FI number. I think a lot of people in the FI, in the fire space, they like to focus on the FI number, focus on, 1.5 mil, 1.25 mil. But in my opinion, like that is less important than the passive income aspect. In order to retire early, all you really need to do is to make sure your passive income exceeds your living expenses. The FI number only works for, the most normal cases that your retirement horizon is around 30 years. But if you were to retire in your 20s like me, then the FI number doesn't really work. On top of that, getting to that FI number is a lot harder than getting to your passive income, and making your passive income get to the point that it can cover your living expenses. It's a lot quicker to just focus on the passive income aspect. And to be honest, I don't really use my FI number at this point because I'm not taking any money out of my stock market investments. I'm able to live off of just my income streams. And there are also different types of retirement. Like, don't just get pigeonholed into traditional fire. There's, of course, barista fire, there's traditional fire, there's fat fire, there's lean fire, there's fire until I figure out my next thing, and there's also housewife fire, which I kind of made this up. I'm not sure if other people are talking about it, but if you want to be a housewife, if you want to be a stay-at-home mom or a stay-at-home wife, like you do you. Don't let anyone shame you into not pursuing your version of fire that is best suited for you, because you are your own boss. You get a say in how you want to live your life, and don't let anyone prevent you from doing it. Like me, I design my fire around what I want to do. So now my fire is, technically I can just retire early and do nothing. But instead of just doing that, I decide to just retire from corporate and focus on my mental health and focus on growing my personal finance education business. Just because you can retire early does not mean you have to retire early and do nothing for the rest of your life. I'm happiest when I know I'm making an impact. How about you? So far, we've talked about exactly how I retired early at 25 years old with $1.5 million in California, specifically Los Angeles. I'm going to link my next video up here, but don't click on it yet. Make sure you have subscribed to me so you can see more fire videos. And if you're ready to dive a lot deeper into fire, DM me the word fire on Instagram at cherrytongue.co.